Welcome back, traders. Today I'm going to be continuing my prop firm series by taking a look into Earn2Trade. If you're interested in other prop firms like Topstep, Apex, My Funded Futures, or Take Profit Trader, I've already made videos where I looked into those firms, so make sure you check those out. Also, thank you to those of you who have suggested prop firms for me to look at in the comments section. I've noted them down, but right now I plan to go through all the prop firms listed on the Only Prop Firms website first. And I also did a video giving you my honest opinion on Only Prop Firms, so make sure you check that one out also if you haven't done so yet. But once I get through all of these prop firms, I'll take a look at the ones you guys suggested, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. Last thing before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that moving forward, I will be using the best discounted prices that I can find for each prop firm when I do the cost comparison. So even if you're not interested in Earn2Trade specifically, make sure you stick around so you can see how the promos and discounted prices of other prop firms compare with each other. Now, let's not waste any time and get right into it. Here's the main page for the Earn2Trade website, and the first thing that jumps out to me is that they have been in business for over 7 years. This is good because prop firms only really started to get popular just in the past 3 to 4 years. So having been in business before the prop firm boom, these guys have experience, have a working business model, and should know what they're doing. You know, recently we've heard newer prop firms like the Funded Trader and Skill Funded Trader going out of business. So with Earn2Trade being around for over 7 years, hopefully we don't need to worry about that happening with these guys. Also, here it says that they use real brokerage partners. So the whole thing is after you pass their evaluation, you get a funded account with them for a while, but after taking out a certain amount of payouts, they'll move you on to one of their partner trading firm. Now, I don't really know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I mentioned this just to let you know how their business model works. Now, Earn2Trade offers 2 types of accounts. One they call the Trader Career Path or TCP. There are 2 starting account sizes, 25K and 50K. And as you take payouts, they will upgrade you to larger account sizes up to 200K and 400K respectively. The Gauntlet Mini is the other account type, and this is more like your typical prop firm account where you stay at the same account size that you pay for. And we'll go more into each of these account types, but first, I want to take a quick look at them, the firm, and their partners. Now here's their About Us page. I don't really have too much to say on this page, except that I do like seeing how you can see their faces and the people that are involved behind Earn2Trade. So this makes it more transparent, and if anything should go awry, these guys are on the hook for anything that happens. So now let's go through their partners page. So the first thing you see are the 2 platforms that they recommend, NinjaTrader and Finamark. You're probably familiar with NinjaTrader, it's very popular, but Finamark, I've never heard of this one, but it says here it's a web-based platform, so you can use that if that is something you're interested in. Also, this is compatible with both Linux and Mac. Now, these aren't the only platforms that are available with Earn2Trade. Here's a list of the platforms that can be used with either TCP or the Gauntlet Mini accounts. Some of them are free, and some of them you have to pay for yourself. Pause the video if you want to take a look at this list, or you can find this in their help section. So moving on, you can see they offer some education here. They offer a beginner's crash course. This is going to be for $125. And basically, if you don't know anything about trading, they say this should give you the basics of trading, how exchanges and brokerages work, what assets you can trade, how to read the chart, and identify certain patterns. Now, I haven't taken this course or even looked into what they actually teach you, so I can't really comment, but I would recommend doing your own research online. There are a lot of free online resources that you can take advantage of and learn from. Everything I learned and used in my own trading came from free resources, so I leave it up to you to decide where you want your education to come from. Now going to the bottom, we can see that their brokerage partner is going to be EdgeClear. They say they are CFTC and NFA registered, so I assume that means that they are regulated. But I didn't look much into them, so I would encourage you to do so if you're wanting to go with Earn2Trade. But once you pass the evaluation, you'll have either a live sim or live account with EdgeClear. Now, just a side note, Earn2Trade does not present their information very clearly. It was pretty confusing reading through their help section and sorting everything out, so I could be misunderstanding some of these information and I apologize ahead of time. I'll try my best to provide the most accurate information that I can, but I strongly encourage you to dig into their help section yourself if you plan to open an account with them. Now, when you complete the Trader's Career Path or Gauntlet Mini, you'll get a custom offer at one of their trading partners, Helios or Apius. Now, for the Gauntlet Mini, Helios will be your only option. And I don't know much about either of these groups, and when I looked at their website, it was very simple and only had 4 different web pages. Neither of them gave any specific information about themselves, which seems kind of sus to me. So I wasn't able to find much information about them, but if you know more, please let everyone know in the comments below. But let's go ahead and take a look at the accounts that they offer, starting with the Mini Gauntlet. The Gauntlet Mini is your typical prop firm account that you're used to seeing, where you pay for a certain account size and you'll stay at that size throughout the funded account. They're currently running a 50% discount price right now until April 30th. You can see the prices here. Pause the video if you want to take note of all the numbers, but I will have these in the spreadsheet later on. Now, I don't know what discounts they will offer in the future, but they will most likely have some kind of promotion. So don't feel like you need to rush into this right away if you feel like this deadline on their promo is too quick. Remember, only sign up for a prop firm account challenge when you are fully prepared to do so. Now, once you pass the evaluation, you can choose between a live sim or live account. The live sim is just a simulated account. It is a funded account. You will get paid out with it. And the live account will actually be a live account where you make trades in the market. It's going to be the same account size that you paid for in your evaluation, and you go ahead and you just trade it as a funded account and you can get payouts from that. Now, if you do choose the live sim, no matter what size account, the max payout you can request is $4,000. That is if you requested $5,000. Remember, I didn't mention this before, but they do have an 80-20 split. So if you request $5,000, you get $4,000 of that. Now, it's unclear if that $4,000 maximum is per payout request or in total. They process payouts weekly, so I question if you're able to get paid out $4,000 per week, or once you've received $4,000 in payout, they'll move you to a live account. I'm not really sure, and they don't clearly say how it works, but if you're wanting to go with the Gauntlet Mini, I would definitely recommend you talk to their support team to get this cleared up so you know what you're getting yourself into. Now, the rules for the Gauntlet Mini and the TCP accounts are more or less the same, but I will point out any critical differences. First of all, we have to trade at least 10 days, and then we have to trade only during certain approved time. So for them, just make sure you close all your positions before 3:50 p.m. Central Time, which is 4:50 p.m. New York time. Also, you got to follow the progression ladder. Now pay attention because the wording they use is a little bit unusual. Most other firms will refer to this as a scaling plan. Basically, you're only allowed to trade a certain number of contracts depending on how much profit you've made so far. Now, if you click this link, you'll find a chart that shows you how many contracts you're allowed to have open at any given time. We can see for a 50K account, if you have less than 1,500 in profits, you're allowed a maximum of 2 contracts. And then between 1,500 and 2,000, you're allowed to have 4 contracts. But be careful because the profits are calculated using intraday equity. So for example, say you have 2,000 in profits, right? This allows you to open 4 contracts, but let's say you go minus 500 during that trade. So now you only have 1,500 in equity. You haven't closed out the trade yet, but you're reduced to the 2 contract limit. And since you currently have 4 contracts open, you will end up breaking this rule even before you close out of your trade. Now, when you break this rule, they will freeze your account for the rest of the day, but you can continue to trade the same account for the next day. So you don't lose your account, you just can't trade for the rest of the day. Last note, they do have a 10x scaling for micros. So instead of 2 mini contracts, you can go up to 20 micro contracts. The next rule is the daily loss limit. Now, pay attention here because there is a big difference between the Gauntlet Mini and the TCP accounts. So if you break this rule for the Gauntlet Mini, you fail the evaluation and you lose your account. For the TCP account, they just freeze your account and you can actually trade the next day. But for the Gauntlet, you actually lose the account. Now, I could be wrong about this as they don't directly say this anywhere, but if you click this link here and you watch the video, there's one part around the 2.5 minute mark where it mentions losing funding eligibility on your Gauntlet mini account if you break this rule. Other than that, I did not find any mention of this penalty, so it's best just to avoid breaking any of their rules. The next rule is pretty typical of every prop firm. This is going to be your max drawdown rule. For them, it is going to be end of day trailing drawdown. Now, once you go into a live account, this will be switched to an intraday equity trailing drawdown rather than end of day. So just make note of that. But for both the Gauntlet and the TCP account, it's going to be end of day trailing drawdown for the evaluation phase. And then lastly, we have to maintain consistency. So this is going to be a 30% consistency rule where no more than 30% of your profits can come from one single trading day. This does go away in the live sim and the live accounts. Now they don't mention it here, but they do have the no automated trading rule as well. However, I did not see any news trading rules. So as far as I can tell, there aren't any rules about trading the news. And one last rule for when you get funded is the account activity rule. This is where if you don't trade your funded account for 5 consecutive trading days, then your account will be terminated. They don't go into detail on what they count as a trading day, but just make sure you make a trade at least once a week so you don't break this account activity rule. Now let's go ahead and talk about the TCP accounts. There's going to be 2 sizes to choose from. You have the TCP 25, which starts you off at 25K, and you can move up to a 200K account. Then there's the TCP 50, which starts you off with 50K, and you can move up to a 400K account. Once you pass the evaluation, you can choose between a live sim account or a live account. The live sim and live accounts do have slightly different rules, so it can be a little confusing to keep track of the rules you need to follow. And like I said before, they don't do a very good job at making it clear to traders. But regardless on whether you go with a live sim account or a live account, once you've withdrawn a certain amount, it is mandatory to get upgraded to a larger size in a live account. This will continue to happen until you hit the max at either the 200K or the 400K amount. And if you withdraw enough with these accounts, you'll get that custom offer from one of their trading partners, either Helios or APS. Now I want to go into a little bit more detail on this progression so you can see the details if you go into their help section and then you go to the trader's career path. Then the second one is going to be what is the scaling plan for the trader's career path. You click on that and they will show you their progression right here. And I'm going to go ahead and just make this a little bit bigger so we can see here. This is the progression for the TCP 25 account. Now, once you pass the evaluation, you choose either the live sim or live account. The live sim maintains that end of day trailing drawdown, but once you move to a live account, it becomes an intraday trailing drawdown. Also, as you progress to a larger and larger account size, so let me zoom out a little bit. So as you progress to a larger and larger account size, your drawdown percentage gets worse. So you start off at 25K with a 6% max drawdown. At 50K, right here, it is reduced to 4%. At 100K, it goes down to 3.5%. And finally, at the 200K, it's reduced again to 3%. But at least it is fixed and it doesn't trail anymore. However, this reduction, it makes it more and more difficult for you as you progress throughout this tree. The daily loss limit remains constant at 2.2%. The profit goal fluctuates slightly as well, but you stay around 6%. And as you can see, once you hit the profit goal at 200K, you get that custom offer. Now, they don't clearly state what happens to this 200K account once you get that custom offer. Do you still get to keep the account and trade with it? I assume you don't, but I'm not exactly sure. I think they will close the account and force you to move on with either Helios or APS, their trading partners. But like I said, it is unclear. One more thing I want to point out is that the activation fee or data fee, if you choose to go with the live sim account, it's going to be a one-time fee of $139, and that's going to come out your first payout request. So you gotta make sure you calculate that in when you make your payout requests. Also for the live account, they will charge you $135 at the end of every month to pay for that data for the following month. So this is going to be a recurring monthly cost. Now let's take a look at the TCP 50 progression. The 50K, 100K, and 200K numbers are the same as the TCP 25. So starting at 50K, your maximum drawdown is going to be 4%, and it gets worse as you progress until you reach 400K, where it actually gets better, jumping from 3% max drawdown to 5%. Also, the profit goal goes up to 40,000, which is 10%. I actually think this is better because the profit goal is actually the maximum amount you're able to withdraw from the account before you have to quote unquote upgrade to their Helios or APS trading firms. Now you do have a 80-20 split as I mentioned before, which is not as good as some of the other prop firms. So when you make a payout request, first make sure you calculate that 80-20 split, and if you have your first payout for a live sim account, remember that $139 activation fee, and you get the total withdrawal amount you will receive. Now, that amount also has to be a minimum of $100. Also, they're going to tag on a $10 processing fee unless you withdraw more than $500. So in order for you to avoid that $10 fee for the first time payout request on a live sim account, you have to request $800 or more. Going back to the TCP page, here are the prices and the numbers for each account, so make sure you pause the video if you want to note these down yourself. The 50% discount will apply to these accounts as well, and remember it will only last until April 30th, so it's going to be $75 for the TCP 25 and $95 for TCP 50. Now I don't know what discounts they will offer in the future, like I said before, but most likely they will have some kind of promotion, so remember, don't rush into this if you're not fully prepared to do so. Now going down to the rules, they're pretty much the same as the Gauntlet Mini. The only difference I wanted to point out is that the daily loss, remember the penalty for this one, for the TCP accounts, you're not going to lose your account, you're just going to get your account frozen, so you can't trade for the rest of the day, but you can continue trading the next day if you did not break that maximum drawdown limit. Also, I want to quickly show you their progression ladder. This is going to be the scaling plans for the contract size. So here you can see these are the different sizes you can trade depending on how much profit you've made in each account types. Here we are, this is my updated spreadsheet, and as I said in the beginning of the video, I am going to be using the lowest discounted prices or promos that I could find to compare the prices of each prop firm. Also, you notice that I've taken out the different sizes and left only the 50K, 100K, and 150K. For Earn2Trade, I did leave in the 25K and the 200K just for this time. These will be removed in the future, but I put them here just to highlight a few things and to compare the prices. Also, one more change I did make for Apex, instead of using Rhythmic, I've switched to using the TraderBait prices because I think that is more popular among different traders. Also, you can see the rules here. I do plan on making future updates where I lay out the rules down here so you can see the rules that each prop firm has or does not have. So make sure you're subscribed so you can stay up to date on the latest prices for each prop firms. But taking a look at Earn2Trade, we can see that they do have a daily loss limit, and I have this highlighted in red. Same with Take Profit Trader, because the daily loss limit for these accounts specifically will cause you to lose your account and fail the challenge if you break this rule. For the TCP account and also for Topstep, you only get your account frozen, so that is why they are not highlighted. Also, if you look at the TCP 25, you can see that the trailing drawdown is 6%, making this the best profit target to max drawdown ratio. But remember, for the TCP accounts, you will be progressing on their ladder to a larger account size, and as you progress, the drawdown amount is going to get worse. So that is not reflected in the spreadsheet, but do keep that in mind. It's going to go all the way down to 3.5%, so make sure you remember that. One more thing I want to point out is for the Gauntlet Mini, once you go to a 200K account, you actually have a less profit target than you do for the 150 with the same drawdown amount. So this makes it slightly easier, but you do have a higher cost jumping from that 150 to the 200K account. Now, one big thing that probably catches your eye is that the reset fee here is a question mark. I could not find the cost of the reset fee for Earn2Trade. Now, if anyone does know what the reset fees are, please let me know in the comments below. Let everyone know. But I could not find that. I do know that every month you do get a free reset, just like how Topstep and some of the other firms do. So you do get a free one, but I don't know how much it actually costs you to manually do a reset. So because of that, I'm not going to be able to give you the prices for these rows here that does account for resets. Just keep in mind that you do get one free reset, so the 2 months with no reset does actually include one free reset if you need it, but I'm not going to be putting out the prices and comparing them with the other ones because that's going to be reserved specifically for manual resets. Now, I know there's a lot of numbers here. Don't be overwhelmed. I do have this split out to the 50K, 100K, and 150K account sizes, and we will make it easier for you to see the comparison across these firms. But as a general note, you can see that most of the costs in Earn2Trade is either in the light red or darker red color. So the dark red is going to be the most expensive option for that account size, and the lighter red is going to be close to the most expensive cost. Same with the dark green is going to be the cheapest cost, and the light green is going to be close to the cheapest cost. And that close to is somewhat subjective, so don't judge me too much on this. We're going to go ahead and break it down by each account size to make it clearer for you. Here we have the breakdown for the 50K account, and I removed some of the information up top to remove any distraction. We're just going to focus on the true cost of funding. Now, if we look at Earn2Trade, both the TCP50 and the Gauntlet Mini are going to be one of the more expensive options for the 50K account. Topstep and Apex actually have some of the cheapest options. So if you're going to go with the 50K, this will be a lot cheaper if you are okay with all their rules. And I do want to highlight once again that the My Funded Futures Extra account for 50K is going to be the cheapest option if you are able to pass it with no resets. But if you need to pay for resets or it's going to take you more than 1 month, it does become the most expensive option. Here's the cost comparison for a 100K account, and as you can see, My Funded Futures Starter account is going to be the cheapest across the board. They are doing a 75% discount at the moment, so that's probably why this is the cheapest price as of now. The My Funded Futures Expert account is going to be the most expensive option. They don't have any discount at the moment, but if you're going to pass in the first month and take no reset, Take Profit Trader and Earn2Trade are actually the most expensive option for the 100K accounts. Here's the cost comparison for the 150K accounts, and it's more or less the same story with My Funded Futures Starter account being the cheapest option. This time it's going to actually be at 84% discount, which is really nice. Now the only difference is that these aren't the most expensive, but kind of close to it. Apex is actually the most expensive for the 150K option. Now that we've broken everything down, let me give you my final thoughts on Earn2Trade. First, the cost is on the more expensive side. Also, with no idea on what the reset fees are, this could be even more expensive if I need to do any resets. Also, the rules, I'm not keen on having to do 10 trading days. And the worst rule, in my opinion, is their 30% consistency rule. I'm not a fan of that. Now, in terms of the daily loss limit, I don't like how you can lose your account in the Gauntlet Mini if you break this rule, but they are pretty consistent with the risk being at around 2.2%. So as long as you have good risk management, this daily loss limit shouldn't be an issue. In terms of profit target to drawdown ratio, it's pretty good, a little bit above average, I would say. They're all less than 2. And remember, the trader's career path, you do have to progress on that ladder. So the ratio is going to get worse as you go on. But I think the cool thing is that you can pay for a 25 or 50K account, and then it'll let you increase your account size up to a 200K or a 400K account size, which I think can be pretty attractive to some people. Also, the 25K is going to have a pretty good profit target to drawdown ratio, but if it's up to me, I'd rather shell out the extra $20 here to get the 50K account. That way I can get all the way up to 400K. And you know, when you reach that 400K account, the drawdown is actually pretty good at 5%, and you can withdraw up to $40,000 maximum from that account. Also, the profit split is 80-20, which is not as good as some of the other firms, but the most attractive draw for me is this trader career path that you can increase the account size. But other than that, this would not be my first choice on a prop firm. I will lean more towards some of the cheaper prop firms as I think it is more cost efficient. I will only really go for Earn2Trade if I want to pay for the TCP 25 or TCP 50 account. It is relatively cheap and you can work your way up to a pretty large account size. But remember, the drawdown is that every time you upgrade, you reset that trailing drawdown. So all the time you're kind of close to that trailing drawdown. So you gotta be really on point with your risk management. And also you really have to be mindful of their scaling plan. So make sure you keep your contract size under control as well. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. I hope you got something out of this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss out on the next prop firm that I cover. Also, I will be updating this spreadsheet as the year goes on, so you will get the most updated prices for each of these prop firms. But until next time, guys, safe trading.